Inside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, as always, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get to talk about on my regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasting apps or platforms from. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in, whether it be a YouTube live stream, Facebook Live, or Twitter/Periscope. I appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with your friends and family. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Daryl Lane, where I post clips from my podcast, and I post this show up on there as well. So here's what we got today. Quarterback news in the NFL. We got Brady, Big Ben, John Lynch talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, Cedric Maxwell, Cornbread Maxwell, former Boston Celtic, had some comments about Luka Doncic, comparing him to a Celtics great, and I'm going to get into that, and an NFL prospect to watch, because I'm doing this every day, NFL prospects to watch for the upcoming 2021 NFL draft. So let's start with this. It was just talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers GM. He came on the Rich Eisen show. And one of the and his name is Jason Light. And one of the things he said was, it's a possibility when it comes to a Tom Brady extension. And I think this is really interesting because Brady right now is 43. He said he wants to play till 45, only has a 1 year left on his deal. He originally signed a 2-year deal when he decided to play with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think this is interesting. Tom Brady has alluded to the fact, like about a month ago, I think maybe a couple weeks before the Super Bowl, that potentially he'd be okay playing more years in the NFL. I've talked to numerous people about this. Is Tom Brady going to play till he's 50? Right now, to me, he's still a top 10 quarterback. Some people think he's top 5. I think that's kind of crazy, but he's a 10 to 15 quarterback in the league. Obviously, we've seen he's still good enough to manage a game, to make NFL-level throws, and good enough to win a Super Bowl. So if he's good enough to do this, Tampa Bay has a roster that's ready to win now. Why not keep reloading and reloading? Now, I think the danger with doing something like this is, when do you push Brady out the door? Because Brady is crazy enough to just say, hey, we're going to keep going till they carry me off. So when does an organization say, no, Tom, we're not signing you. You're not good? Is Tom Brady going to have to be forced out the league, or is he actually going to retire? I think that is interesting, because I also think if Tom Brady keeps winning these Super Bowls, he's not going to retire. He's going to be like, let's run it back. We can do it again. We can get another one. I can sneak another one. I think that's just how people with this type of mentality, they think. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And I want people to comment on this. How long do you think Tom Brady actually will play in the NFL? What age? Could he get to 50? I mean, I doubt it. Do you think he'll go past 45? Or do you think this is a mirage and after this year he will retire? So the Pittsburgh Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger, their general manager just came out and said they want Big Ben back. They're working at a contract reduction of his base salary. I think why this is interesting, I think this is really good for the Steelers. It's a really good move for the Pittsburgh Steelers is because of this. One, you want Big Ben to retire a Steeler. Hall of Famer, all-time great for your organization. Have him retire a Steeler, right? I think in the Colts' back of their mind, they would have rather had Peyton retire a Colt. For the Packers, in the back of their mind, they would have rather had Brett Favre retire as a Packer. If you go to even the Patriots, maybe Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft are like in the back of their heads, man, we should have had Tom. Keep Big Ben in that gold uniform. Keep him with the Steelers. Keep him with the steel curtain. I also think he's good enough to win. What did the Steelers win this year? Like about 12, 13 games for a large part of the season, particularly the first half of the season. They were undefeated. They're going to return the same defense. They're still going to be able to be elite on that side of the ball, particularly with their front seven. So I think they should be solid. I mean, they always draft good wide receivers. And here's the thing. There are more pressing, more important needs the Pittsburgh Steelers have than getting a quarterback. Like, if Big Ben's not your quarterback, who are you going with? Big Ben's still better than Mason Rudolph. I mean, you could say get a Mac Jones, a Kyle Trask, a Trey Allen, one of those guys. Maybe you get a Justin Fields, a Kyle Wilson. But here's my thing is you're going to have to move up in the draft, expose draft capital on that capital. And the Steelers have a bunch of other needs. They need needs at offensive line. Maybe even a corner they could use. Running backs, wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a free agent, tight ends. So, to me, there's so many other needs for this team besides quarterback that it makes sense just to bring Ben back. You can run it back another year, put a better supporting cast around him, and you will be solid. Steelers making a good move right here. So, John Lynch, general manager of the San Francisco 49ers, says Jimmy Garoppolo will be their starting QB for the 2021 season. It's really interesting. I think you could parse his words and say, well, partly during 2021, we're going to end up being in the 2022 in the calendar year of 2022. So maybe he won't be there then. GMs say a lot of things. I don't expect John Lynch to say, hey, we're actively looking to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. But do I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have had thoughts or even conversations with other teams about potentially getting a Deshaun Watson, maybe a Matthew Stafford when he was available and he wasn't with the Los Angeles Rams? I think those conversations have probably been taken place. There have been reports on such things. Even Tom Brady, when Tom Brady was a free agent last year, they were talking about Tom Brady to San Francisco. I think all these conversations are had. Eventually, if there is an offer, a situation they like, a quarterback they like for the right compensation that they would have to give up, I think they would do it. So obviously, John Lynch, he has to say this. Well, what else do you expect him to say? Hey, we're fine with Jimmy. He's a solid quarter. We think we can still win a Super Bowl, but obviously we can upgrade the position. You're not going to say that as a coach. I mean, Sean McVay and the guys in Los Angeles, the Rams, they said that. But, they're not trying to do that with Jimmy G. And obviously, he's won a lot of games for the 49ers, so they're going to show him that respect right there. Next up to the NBA side. So Cedric Maxwell, former Boston Celtic, really good basketball player. He said, Luka Doncic is Larry Bird reincarnated. Now, I don't like these comparisons. And the biggest reason I don't like this comparison is, to me, it's lazy. To me, it is you are comparing white guy who was really good in the NBA, an elite level player who might have been the best player in the NBA, to the other white guy that could potentially be the best player in the NBA, right? There was a time when Larry Bird was better than Magic Johnson, better than Michael Jordan. Larry Bird was the best player in the NBA. There might come a time where Luka Doncic is the best player in the NBA. But to me, Cedric Maxwell comparing them, you're only comparing them because they're both white guys, which I don't like. I think that's just a lazy comparison. If you want to compare Luka Doncic to a white guy, or even better yet, another guy who was European as well, I was looking at this Luka Doncic draft comparisons, because when you come out of the draft, they always give you comparisons. His comparison was Manu Ginobili. Now, I thought that was really interesting because when I was thinking, who would I actually compare Luka to? I would say James Harden, the step back three, high usage, bigger point guard. Like James Harden's thick, 6'5". Both of them aren't very good defenders, but they can score, rebound, pass. They can be the fulcrum of an offense. They were both guys that were two guards. Luka Doncic was a shooting guard his rookie year. James Harden was a shooting guard for a lot of his career. Then both their coaches, Rick Carlisle, you have Mike D'Antoni, they decide, hey, you're the guy. We're going to put you in spread pick and roll situations, add the ball in your hands, let you go to work, right? I think that's a good comparison too. So even the Ginobilis, the Hardens, like I said, even the step back three that they both do, the fact that they don't play defense, the fact that they're elite offensive players, the fact that they're bigger kind of point guards. But here's the thing, Larry Bird was never bringing the ball up the court and shooting step back threes. That was never Larry Bird's game. So I don't know why you're comparing Luka Doncic to Larry Bird. Did you ever see Larry Bird post up and shoot Luka Doncic post up and shoot fades and fadeaways for the mid post? No, you never saw Luka Doncic do that. So when people compare Larry Bird to Luka Doncic, it's just great white hope, great white hope. That's all. They were both white, and one was born in America in French Lick, Indiana, my God, in the Midwest, and the other one was born in Europe. Just different type of white. But you're just comparing them because one white guy really good at basketball, the other white guy really good at basketball. That is where the comparison ends there. I think there are better comparisons, as I just said. James Harden and Manu Ginobili even. And lastly, for NFL draft prospects to watch out for, Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida, had over 1,000 all-purpose yards this year for the Florida Gators. He's 6 feet, 193 pounds, had a really big breakout year. Kyle Pitts is the big guy, the number one option for Florida this year with both Dan Mullen and Kyle Trask. But Kadarius Toney, really good second option. He's a guy, he's not a great route runner, but here's what he does. Quickness. He has speed. He can go up and catch the ball. Can play a bunch of different positions. You can play him outside. You can put him in the slot. You can have him play halfback. You can use him in motion. A lot of sweeps, a lot of reverses, all that type of stuff. He's a weapon. To me, a guy I'm kind of thinking of off the top of my, and he can do punt returns and kick returns. He's just that explosive of an offensive weapon. He could be maybe a McCole Hardman. We see McCole Hardman be for the Chiefs. Obviously, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. For sure, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are the two number one options on that team. But McCole Hardman, I mean, you could argue him or Sammy Watkins, but they're kind of both the number 3 or 4 options. I think he's kind of that for a team where he's that luxury Swiss Army knife that can just come up and make explosive plays. To me, that is what Kadarius Toney is. If you're a team, and I'm looking at teams right here that can use a wide receiver, Washington football team, Seattle Seahawks, New Orleans Saints, New England Patriots, Green Bay Packers, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, Indianapolis Colts, Miami Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs even. I think they could all use a player like Kadarius Toney. He is going to be drafted late first round, maybe even the second round. I think probably for my board, and I haven't finished my board yet, but I think late second round for, I think from a early second round for Kadarius Toney, but he could go late first. So definitely check him out. If your team needs a wide receiver, he's somebody you should be looking at. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends and your family. Also, subscribe to my sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you can find on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole 9 yards there. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless.